Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Cosmic Path Tarot, and today's video is going to be a very interesting one. We'll see why they went quiet. Now, in all my years of reading cards, this exact combination has shown up before, and I'd say more than once. And it has meant nearly the same thing every single time. Not coldness, not indifference, something far more complicated and honestly far more human. These three cards are about to tell you exactly why someone went quiet on you. Not the surface explanation, the real one. The one happening underneath whatever story you have been telling yourself to try to make the sense of the silence. Comment, tell me the truth below right now because what these cards are showing me is layered and I think it is going to reframe this entire situation for you. Now, before I flip a single card, I want to acknowledge something about silence specifically. Of all that ways a connection can shift, silence is one of the hardest one to sit with. If someone says something hurtful, at least you have words to work with. And you can argue, explain, defend yourself, even understand the other person. But silence gives you nothing to hold on to. It leaves you constructing explanation in the dark, cycling through every possible reason, never quite landing on certainty. You have probably run through all the obvious explanations already. Maybe they lost interest, maybe you did something wrong, maybe there is someone else, maybe they were never serious about this in the first place. None of those explanations have fully satisfied you because something about the silence itself feels more complicated than simple disinterest. That instinct is correct. These three cards are about to show you exactly why. The Eight of Pentacles reversed. Now, upright, this card is about consistency. It's about someone showing up, putting in the effort, and understanding that strong connections are built one choice at a time. Reversed, the efforts start to fade. And if this is your card, I don't think the silence started with a lack of feelings. It started with a lack of consistency. This card often appears when someone begins pulling back, not because they've reached a clear conclusion, but because maintaining the connection suddenly feels harder than they expected. Instead of telling you what was changing inside them, they quietly stop showing up in the same way. Now, that's an important distinction. They didn't necessarily go quiet because they had already decided they wanted to walk away. They went quiet because it felt easier to withdraw than to have the conversation they needed to happen. Now, if you've been asking yourself, why did everything change so suddenly? This card says it probably wasn't sudden for them. The effort faded first and the silence came after. The moon. And this is the card that explains why their evaluation got so confused in the first place. Now, the moon is one of the most psychologically complex cards in all of tarot. It represents illusion, fear, things that are not fully visible or understood. And two towers on either side of the winding path. A dog and a wolf howl beneath uncertain moonlight, and a creature emerges from the water below, are all symbols of instinct, fear, and the parts of the mind that operate beneath the conscious awareness. Now, when the moon appears in someone's decision making process, it means their judgment was not operating from clear information. It was operating from fear, from old wounds being unconsciously projected into the present situation, even from anxieties that had little to do with you specifically and everything to do with the patterns from their own history. This is why their withdrawal does not make fully sense from the outside. Now, it was not a rational response to something you did. It was an emotional response to their fears that the moon was stirring up inside them. I feel it could be the fears of hurt again, of repeating old patterns, of trusting someone that felt too good to be reliable. The moon clouds judgment specifically. And because it operates below the surface, where the logic does not reach easily, everything seems confusing. Now, they went quiet partly because they themselves did not fully understand what they were feeling or why they were feeling that way. The moon does not offer clarity, it offers confusion dressed up as caution. Now, look at these two cards together. Premature withdrawal from the Seven of Pentacles reversed, fueled by the fear and confusion of the moon. Not a clean decision. A retreat made from uncertainty, clouded by feelings that they likely could not fully articulate even to themselves. Now, the third card tells us what happened after that, whether they were able to fully walk away or whether something kept them stuck. Six of Swords reversed. Now, upright, this card shows a figure being ferried away from rough water towards something more calmer. A clean, deliberate departure from difficulty. Now, reversed, that departure stalls. This is the most important card in this entire reading because it tells you something the silence itself could never communicate. The Six of Swords reversed describes someone who wanted to move on, or who may have even tried to convince themselves that they had moved on, but who has actually not completed the journey away from this connection. They are stuck, neither fully present with you nor fully gone. This is often why silence feels so confusing rather than simply final. A clean ending has a certain clarity to it, even when it hurts. But this is not a clean ending. The Six of Swords reverse describes someone caught in the boat, unable to reach calmer water, unable to return to shore, and the silence is not a peaceful resolution to their end. It is suspension. They went quiet not because they fully decided to leave, but because they could not figure out how to stay while also processing the fear the moon had stirred up, and could not fully leave because some part of them, despite the premature withdrawal of the Seven of Pentacles reversed, still has not completed the departure internally. Now, here is the full picture of why they went quiet. They began to doubt whether this connection was worth their continued investment before they had actually reached a clear conclusion. That doubt was clouded by fear and old patterns they did not fully understand themselves. And rather than communicating any of this honestly to you, they withdrew into silence. A silence that has not actually resolved anything because they have not completed the departure, their silence seemed to suggest. This does not mean they are coming back. It does not mean you should wait indefinitely. What it means is that the silence was never really about you being worthy of their effort. It was about their own unresolved fear, confusion, and inability to either fully commit or fully walk away. Now, comment below and tell me which card resonated most, whether it was the Seven of Pentacles reversed, the Moon, or the Six of Swords reversed. I read each and every single one of them. Is someone you know who has been sitting in confusing silence from someone they care about? Share this with them. Follow Cosmic Path Tarot for readings every week. Their silence was never proof of your unworthiness. It was proof of their own unfinished fear. Take care of yourself. I will see you in the next one.